Om Adnyanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmlitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So welcome back everyone to Wisdom of Bhagavad Gita. We had to take a little break because I was in Bharat and there I had some problem with my internet. So I couldn't do the programs for last 4 weeks. So our chapter 5, which is Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness, is pending. And we have done 2 sessions on this chapter 5. And hopefully today we would complete this chapter. So chapter 5, Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness. It has only 29 verses. We have covered from verse number 1 to verse number 20 till now. So we will just see very briefly, not very in detail, very briefly, we'll see what we have done in those first 20 verses. So in the beginning of chapter 5, we have seen that Arjuna is asking a very similar question that he has asked at the beginning of chapter 3. And the reason is because Lord Shri Krishna said something in chapter 4 which has confused Arjuna again. And you can refer to our first lecture on chapter 5 for the details of what he had said. Towards the end of chapter 4, he had said about giving up work as well as giving up the fruit of work. And that is what Arjuna understood, that he is referring to giving up work. So hence he asked at the beginning of chapter 5 that what exactly do you want me to do? Do you want me to give up the work itself, or do you want me to give up the fruit of the work? So in other words, he's asking, should I do nishkam karma yoga, which is giving up the fruit of the work, or should I do jnana yoga, which is giving up the work itself? So Krishna says immediately that Nishkam Karma Yoga gives the same result as Jnana Yoga. But Nishkam Karma Yoga is very easy to do. So in short, he's saying, if both are giving the same result and Jnana Yoga is difficult to do, Nishkam Karma Yoga is simple to do, then why you would do anything else? You should just focus on Nishkam Karma Yoga. And that is what he's recommending here. And then because he's referring to sannyas, like giving up the work, karma sannyas or karma phala sannyas. So Lord Shri Krishna explains that who's the true sannyasi? So he says that the true sannyasi neither hates nor desires the fruits. And he's free from all these dualities. So basically this sannyasi or true sannyasi, he utilizes everything that he has in Krishna's service. So that is a true sannyasi. And then he gives some characteristics of this Nishkam Karma Yogi. Lord says that such a person is Vishuddhatma. Vishuddhatma means he's a purified, he has a purified intelligence. He's Vijitatma. Vijitatma means he's self-controlled. And he's a Jitendriya. So he has conquered the senses. It is not that his senses are controlling him. He has conquered the senses. So this is what he has mentioned about this Nishkam Karma Yogi. And then further he mentions that attachment to the fruits of the fruits of the activity that we are doing, that leads to entanglement. But similar attachment, if we have with the Supreme Lord, that actually brings us liberation. So it is as simple as that. Instead of having attachment to material things, we should have our attachment developed for the Supreme Lord. And if we can actually transfer our attachment like this from the material to the spiritual, then we will get freed from this entanglement and we will get liberated to the Supreme, and we will go back to the spiritual world. So it is Easier said than done, right? To move our attachment from material to spiritual. So how do we get detached from these material things? So the Lord says that we can get detached by understanding that we are not the only doers. There are three doers. And who are the three doers? There is a soul, like that is us, who is desiring the activities that I want to do this. Then there is the Supreme Lord, who is sanctioning the desires based on if we are eligible or qualified to actually receive that result. And once the Supreme Lord has sanctioned it, it is the material nature who's fulfilling that activity. So soul is the desiring doer, the Lord is a sanctioning doer, and the material nature is a facilitating doer. So if there are three doers involved in any activity, then why should we actually think that I am the doer and then get attached to things? So with this knowledge itself that there are three doers, instead of we should at least give up the 66% attachment that we have. We should say that, okay, there are three doers. If some result has come, okay, 33% I can give to the Supreme Lord, 33% is because of the material nature. So I'm not, it is not because of me. Only 33% is because of me, which is the soul. And that way, immediately the attachment will reduce. And of course, the remaining attachment as well, by actually practicing the the process that the Lord is mentioning here about the Nishkam Karma Yoga, and uh, afterwards he will talk about Ashtanga Yoga in sixth chapter, but ultimately in the middle six chapters he will talk about Bhakti Yoga, which is the recommended process for all of us, and also it is the recommendation of the Supreme Lord of this Bhagavad Gita within this Bhagavad Gita. So by doing that, we will actually give up the remaining attachment as well. So once we understand that we are not the only doer, then at least that first step has been taken. So if we are not getting the result, we are not keeping the attachment as well, then why should we keep doing the work? So in the third chapter, when similar situation came, Lord said that we should keep doing the work for setting a right example for others. But here the Lord says that, okay, setting the right example is good, but we have to also, if we keep working without this attachment, we will also get benefited. How? We will not get entangled, will not incur sin, we will get purified. Mainly, it will purify ourselves. And then, because of that purification, we'll attain peace. And that peace, he has again talked little later in the section that we are going to see today, in the last verse of the chapter. So such a person who has now achieved this peace is described in that 5.18, which is a famous verse, which talks about Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini Shuni Chaiva Shopake Cha Pandita Samadarshanaha. So here it is mentioned that Vidya Vinaya Sampanne. So once this this intelligence is purified and we have received this pure knowledge, then such a sage, such a humble sage, will look everyone equally. How? And they have the examples are given. It is mentioned Brahmana. So he will look at the Brahmana, Gavi, which is cow, Hastini, which is an elephant, Shuni means a dog, or Shwapake, the dog eater. So Pandita Samadarshina. So the Pandita will look at all of these, a very learned Brahmana, a dog or a cow or a dog eater. All of these he will look at with equal vision. And how will he do that? He will look at not the body, but he will look internally. He will see that inside all of these bodies is a spirit soul. And the spirit soul is having the similar qualities. We are all Satchidananda. So he's not looking at the covering, but he's looking at the spirit soul within. And he's also seeing the Supreme Lord who's within the body. And thus, he's actually respecting everyone. But at the same time, in that session we saw, it doesn't mean that when we are seeing everyone equally, we treat everyone equally. We took that example that if we see a tiger in the forest, we are not going to say that, oh, it is all equal, it is fine, I will just go and say hi to him. No, no. We have to also understand that everyone has their desires. The soul can only do one thing, which is the desires that we have. And everyone has this desire. So the tiger has a desire to eat you. So you have to protect yourself. So as soon as you see the tiger, you have to somehow or other protect yourself. So seeing equally doesn't mean treating everyone equally. So this is an important thing to understand from that verse. So this is where we had finished. So we'll start from verse number 21 now. So after I read the verse, then you can raise your hand for reading the translations. Okay. So verse number 21 in chapter 5. Bahyasparsheshva saktatma vidyantatmani yat sukham sabrahma yoga yuktatma sukham akshayam ashnute. Yes, Sanyas Prabhuji. Or
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Yes, Mataji. Please go.
Such a liberated person is not attracted to material sense pleasure, but is always in trance, enjoying the pleasure within. In this way, the self realized person enjoys unlimited happiness, for he concentrates on the Supreme.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. So this section 21 to 24, these four verses are actually contrasting between the material happiness and the spiritual happiness. So 21 and 24 talks about the spiritual happiness, and 22 and 23 talks about the material happiness. And it draws a contrast between these two. So this verse, if you can see, such a liberated person is not attracted to material sense pleasures, but is always in trance, enjoying the pleasure within. So this person is not looking for pleasure outside of him. Because as soon as you actually start seeing the pleasure outside of him, it becomes a relative pleasure. And then we are waiting for someone to do something so that you can become happy. And if we are looking for pleasure outside of us, then we will always be unhappy. If we think that such and such person, or my husband, or my wife, or my children, somehow or the other will give happiness to me, but if we can actually look at it from their perspective, the husband, wife, or children, or the friends, or the family, or the other people, the politician, the employer, everyone is also thinking the same. That the employer is thinking the employee will give happiness to me. The husband is thinking wife will give, wife is thinking husband will give, children is thinking parents will give. So everyone is looking for happiness outside. So it is very hard that their requirements will be complete or fulfilled, and we will always get unhappiness if we actually are thinking that our happiness is going to come from outside of us. So such a person is not looking for happiness outside. In this way, the self-realized person enjoys unlimited happiness, for he concentrates on the Supreme. So where should we find happiness if we are not going to search for happiness within, from the employer, from our pets, from our friends, from our family members? So here it is mentioned that we should look for happiness within the Supreme. And such happiness is unlimited. It is not limited. It doesn't have beginning and end, and it is not temporary, and it is also not limited. It is infinite. It is perpetual. It is continuous, and it is also unlimited. So such happiness is what we should be looking for. But if we actually start looking for happiness outside of us, then what will happen? Outside of us means we have these five senses. So through these senses, we are engaging these senses with the sense objects, and through that interaction, we are looking for happiness. And if we are doing like that, what is going to happen? That is mentioned in the 22nd verse. So let us look at that. यही संस्पर्शजा भोगा दुःख यो न य एव ते आद्यन्तवन्तः कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधः. Who wants to read? Yes, Surananda Prabhuji. And then Kalakali Mataji, you can do the next one.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. An intelligent person does not take print in the sources of measuring, which are due to contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not delight in them.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So here, the contrasting happiness is mentioned. If someone is looking for material happiness, and how the material happiness comes, it is a person is taking part in the source of misery, which are due to contact with the material senses. So if we are thinking that the material senses will be engaged with the sense objects and then we will get happiness, it is only a source of misery. And not only it is a source of misery, it is said that such pleasures have beginning and an end. That means it is possible that in the beginning some little pleasure may be possible, but in the end it will give us the misery only. And such little pleasure as well is having a beginning and an end. So the wise person does not delight in them. So some pleasure may be there. So later in Bhagavad Gita, Lord talks about the happiness that we can get in three modes. So Lord is mentioning that happiness in mode of ignorance is a misery from beginning to end. So in the beginning as well is a problem, till the end it is a problem. Happiness in mode of passion, it is pleasure in the beginning, but misery in the end. Whereas the happiness in mode of goodness is a difficulty, like there is some misery involved in the beginning, but in the end there is happiness. So sometimes people think that happiness in goodness will be happiness in the beginning and happiness in the end, but it is not like that. Any difficult task that we try to do, for example, if you want to build your health and you want to go to gym, every day you have to go, then you have to lift the weights, and it is painful. After first few days, your body is aching and everything. So there is some pain involved in the beginning. But if you keep doing it, then your health will be built, and then you will have a very strong body. So in the end, you will get what you want. So similarly, the happiness and goodness is like that. In the beginning, there is some pain involved in doing those activities. For example, if you want to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra 16 rounds every day, then there is some pain involved in the beginning. Our mind is going here and there. We have to actually bring our time, we have to take out the time from some other pleasurable activities that we are thinking we may get happiness, like watching TV, watching some books, or sorry, reading some books, or doing some other activities that you may be doing. And you have to take out this 1 hour, 45 minutes, 2 hours for chanting. That means there is some pain involved. But if we keep doing it regularly every day, then slowly the benefits will be visible. Slowly we will see that, oh, there is some connection that I'm building with the Supreme Lord. Lord says in the 9th chapter afterwards that it is susukham kartum avyayam. So it will give us some happiness. It will give us the pleasure. And the same verse he says 9.2, pratyakshavagaman dharmam. So that means we will also get some realizations by doing this. We will feel that connection with the Supreme Lord, and we'll feel peaceful and happy. Our anger will go down. Some sense control will start coming into play. It is not that we'll be completely self-realized in a few days of chanting or few months or even few years, but some little progress we can see on our own. And that will actually help us to progress further. So what I'm saying is, some pain is involved in doing this, but that will actually give us happiness in the end. And that end is at the end of the life, as it is mentioned in chapter 8. When we come to chapter 8, we'll see that at the end of the life, we'll remember the Supreme Lord. And by remembering him, we'll go back to Godhead. So in the beginning, it may be painful, but over a period of time, we will start feeling the happiness through that process. And in the end, we'll get the ultimate happiness of connecting to the Supreme. So that is how there is this contrast between the material happiness versus the spiritual happiness. Let's go and read 23 and 24, and then we'll discuss a little bit further. Verse number 23. Shaknoti haiva yasodhum praksharira vimokshanat kamakrodhodbhavam vegam sayukta sa sukhi naraha.
Before giving up this present body, if one is able to tolerate the urges of the material senses and check the force of desire and anger, he is well situated and is happy in this world.
Yeah, it's a very wonderful verse. And the purport is also, of course, all purports are very wonderful, but it's a very short one. So let's read the purport as well. So Vidushi Mataji, do you want to read the purport?
If one wants to make steady progress on the path of self-realization, he must try to control the forces of the material senses. There are the forces of talk, forces of anger, forces of mind, forces of the stomach, forces of the genitals, and forces of the tongue. One who is able to control the forces of all these different senses and the mind is called a Goswami or Swami. Such Goswamis live strictly controlled lives and forego altogether the forces of the senses. Material desires, when unsatisfied, generate anger, and eyes, and thus the mind, eyes, and chest become agitated. Therefore, one must practice to control them before one gives up this material body. One who can do this is understood to be self-realized and is thus happy in the state of self-realization. It is the duty of the transcendentalist to try steadily to control the desire and anger.
So we have to strenuously,
Sorry.
yeah,
I don't have my
try.
glasses. Sorry.
So thank you. So we have to actually try our best to control our desire and anger. And it is mentioned here that before giving up this present body, we have to actually win against these urges. So Srila Prabhupada quotes this verse from Nectar of Instruction, the first verse. Vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam jivva vegam udarapastha vegam. So there are 6 vegas or the desire or urges which are mentioned. The vacho vegam. So we want to talk. Now you may say that I should also control it. I talk mostly on this session, but that's why I give you a chance as well to speak in between, right? So that is my vacho vegam. And I also try to finish on time. That is my vacho vegam. So vacho vegam, manasa krodha vegam. So mind's urge, krodha, the urge of anger. Vacho vegam, manasa krodha vegam, jivha. So our tongue wants to eat palatable food. And udara means stomach wants more and more. So jivha wants the tasty food, and udara wants more and more such tasty food. And upastha. So that is our genitals also require it as the urge. So these 6 urges needs to be controlled. And it is quite interesting that it is mentioned that before giving up this present body, if one is able to tolerate the urges of the material senses and check the force of desire and anger, he is well situated and is happy in this world. So it is not that suddenly one fine day we will wake up. It is not that one fine day after practicing for a few years we'll wake up and we would have controlled our desire and anger. It is said that till the last day of like before our death as well, Maya will keep tempting us. So Maya is always going to be active and she will be always tasting us. So till the last day of our life. So we can't just relax saying that, okay, I have practiced it now 20 years or I have practiced it for 50 years. Now I have conquered everything. No, as soon as we think that we have conquered something, Maya will show that how we haven't conquered it. So we should always try our best. So this is what Srila Prabhupada is saying, that we should keep trying our best till the last moment. Therefore, one must practice to control them before one gives up this material body. And we should try our best to control this desire and anger. And how is the anger coming? When there is a desire, if it is fulfilled, then we will develop greed. We want more of it. And if the desire is not fulfilled, then we will develop anger, saying that, oh, why did I not get it? Why someone else got it? So we become angry. So even if the desire is fulfilled, there is a problem that we develop greed. If the desire is not fulfilled, there is a problem because we develop anger. And both are problematic. So we have to actually somehow or the other control the desires, control the attachment, and that is how we can become free. And the gates for the spiritual world will open for us. Otherwise, later on, Krishna says that these are gates to hell. Lust, anger, and greed. Lust is desires, strong desires. Anger, when the lust is not satisfied, we'll get anger. And greed, if lust is satisfied, then we'll want more. But all these three are the gates to hell. So it is mentioned that we have to somehow or the other tolerate these urges. Tolerate is mentioned. So someone will say, why I have to tolerate? I want some palatable food. So not eating the palatable food is like tolerating the urge of the tongue. So we have to tolerate this urge and resist from doing it. It is not that we don't have to eat at all. It is not that I'm asking you to do Ekadashi from today and every day. It has to be within a reason. Like it has to be yukta ahara viharasya. So we'll see that in the 6th chapter that is coming. We have to do it in a regulated way, and that is how we can make progress. And such a person, it is mentioned, the last line of the translation, he is well situated and is happy in this world. So we want to be happy, then we want to control these urges, stop seeing happiness or stop trying to get happiness outside and try to find happiness within, which is within the Supreme. So let's look at this 24th verse, and then I'll tell you a small story. Yonta sukhontaramas tathanta jyotirevaya sayogi brahma nirvanam brahma bhuto dhigachati. Yeah, who wants to? Yeah, go ahead.
One whose happiness is within, who is active and rejoices within, and whose aim is inward, is actually the perfect mystic. He is liberated in the Supreme, and ultimately he attains the Supreme.
So again, thank you. So again, here the Lord is talking about the spiritual happiness. So one whose happiness is within. Again, he's saying that we should not be looking for happiness outside. We should look for happiness within. Who's active. So it is not that he's just sitting idle somewhere. He's active and he rejoices within. And whose aim is inward. So his aim is not achieve something external in this material world, but he wants to achieve something within. And what is that within that he has to want to achieve? He wants to achieve the purification. He wants to achieve the control over his urges. He wants to actually conquer all these desires that he has. So his goal is within. So he's not looking for something to be achieved externally. And such a person is actually a perfect mystic. He's liberated in the Supreme and ultimately he attains the Supreme. Such a person, he can attain the Supreme. So we can see here in these 4 verses, this contrasting pleasure in the Supreme and the material sense, the pleasure within the material things have been given. So what is the pleasure in the Supreme? How it is characterized? So it is unlimited. So the pleasure in the Supreme is unlimited. It is permanent. It is not temporary. And it is shreyas. So we have to tolerate the urges, which is difficult in the beginning, but it will be, in the end, it will be very, very good for us. So we have to tolerate the urges and the forces of desire and anger. So it is hard in the beginning, but it will be beneficial in the end. And it leads to liberation. But whereas the material sense pleasures, how is that? What are the characteristics? So it is limited. It is not unlimited. It is temporary. It has beginning and end. It is prayers. In the beginning, when we engage our senses with the sense object, we feel some pleasure, but in the end, it creates pain. And it is the source of misery. So all of these are actually showing that what should we be doing? We should actually then focus our happiness or the source of happiness. We should actually look for within the Supreme instead of trying to get the happiness within the sense pleasures. So there is a very wonderful story I had heard some time ago, and I may have mentioned in the other lectures, but probably not in the wisdom. So I'll mention that again. So there was this person who owned a very beautiful house in the city, and everyone looked at his house and thought that, wow, this is a very beautiful house. And he got many offers from his neighbors, and anyone who sees this house and had some money would go and say that, okay, I'll offer you 20% more than the market price or 25% more than the market price, but please sell me this house. And he would always say no. He used to love his house. So once what happened that he went to another city for some work. And when he came back to house, so to his own city, he saw that there is some house is on fire, and it is in the same area as he was staying. But he was worried that, oh, whose house is on fire? And in that worry, he's actually going towards. And then suddenly he comes in front of his house and he sees that his entire house is on fire. And he is so devastated, and he starts crying, and he's actually thinking, oh, get me some water, I want to actually do this and that and whatever, where is the fire brigade, why they are not here? So he's actually just very attached to this house, obviously, and is lamenting. But then while he's doing that, suddenly his elder son comes and he asks, Father, what is happening? Why are you crying? He says, what is this question? Why are you crying? Do you not see our house is on fire? This question is not even valid. How can you ask this question? Do something to extinguish this fire. He said, oh, I'm sorry, I did not tell you because you were away that this rich person in the city, he came in your absence and he offered double the price for the house. And because the offer was so good, I did not take your permission and I sold the house to him. He said, really? So the house is sold. It is not mine anymore. So he started, he's happy now. He just detached. And just like all these other people who are watching this burning house, he just became one of them. And he's thinking, oh, such a sad thing that has happened. This house is burned. But then suddenly the second son comes and he says that, Father, how can you be so calm? Our house is burning. He says, do you not know? Your elder brother has already sold this house. He says, yes, I know he has sold this house, but do you know that the person who has bought the house, he hasn't paid for the house yet? He said, really? He hasn't paid for the house? That means it is still my house. And he again starts crying. Oh, my house is gone, and now what to do? So while he's doing that, the third son comes. He says, Father, why are you crying? So he says, Arey, do you not know what has happened? Our house is burning. He said, that is not our house. He says that, no, 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 you're not understanding. I know that the house was sold, but I understand that we haven't received the full money. We have just got the token amount. So that is why it is still us. So the person is not going to honor the house because we haven't handed over the house to him. So we are not going to get the money for it. No, so the third son says, Father, don't worry. I just spoke to the owner, like the new owner, and he said that from the time that I have given the token amount, the house is mine. So if it is burnt, it is my loss. I will still pay the full amount. Again, he is happy. So within a small period of time, can you see that he is unhappy, happy, unhappy, happy, unhappy? Like it is keep changing, and the situation is still same. The house is burning, and this person is becoming happy, like unhappy, happy, unhappy, like that. And why that is happening? It is because of the attachment that he has. Suddenly he's attached, suddenly he's detached, suddenly he's attached, suddenly he's detached. And in that is bringing his happiness and unhappiness. So actually, the situation that is happening to us, whether it is good or bad that we are perceiving, is actually not giving us the happiness or unhappiness. Most of the time, we are unhappy because something has happened in our life. I'll just give an example that as soon as I was on annual leave for one month. So now when I went back to office, and as soon as I asked someone what has happened in the last 1 month, So they would not remember anything good that has happened. Everyone almost always will tell me something which has gone wrong. Because it is our tendency that we just focus on something wrong. And that is why we are always, most of the time, we are unhappy. Many things which are good, which are happening around us, we don't focus on them. We just take it for granted. And then one small thing which has gone wrong, we'll just think about it and then ruin all our happiness. Right? So anyway, so what I'm saying is most of the time we are unhappy because there is some attachment that we have with something which is not happening as per our desire, and then we become unhappy. So the Lord is saying that Nishkam Karma Yoga means we have to give up the attachment to the fruits. As soon as we give up the attachment to the fruit, which this person was giving up in between, then he was okay becoming like normal. He was not becoming unhappy. Of course, that doesn't mean that we should not stop any burning house, uh, like the fire in the house. We should try to stop the fire, okay? And we should try our best and do our best endeavor to do the karma properly, our activities properly. Our duty should be done perfectly. But once the duty is done, we should not be attached to the result, that only this result should come. It may come, it may not come. But as long as you have done your duty properly, you should be satisfied. Yes, I have done my work perfectly. So whatever result comes, I'll take it. So the happiness and unhappiness in our life is coming mainly because of the attachment that we have. And the Lord is saying that instead of being attached to these material things, which is only going to give you unhappiness, that verse, Yahi samsparshaja bhoga, dukkha yona yava. Dukkha yona evate. Is that right? Yeah, dukkha yonaya evate. So if we are actually looking for happiness externally, we are always going to get unhappiness. So what should we do? We should connect to the Supreme. And through the Supreme, if we connect to the Supreme Lord, then that way we will get this um, unlimited pleasure, permanent pleasure. It will lead to liberation. Whereas if we actually look for material sense pleasure, then we'll get only limited, temporary, and it will be only the source of misery. Okay, let's move ahead. So we can learn from this that an intelligent person, all of you, will be interested in unlimited and permanent happiness in Krishna consciousness, rather than limited and temporary happiness in sense enjoyment. So we should not actually think. So now that we understand the difference between the permanent and temporary happiness, we know the unlimited and limited happiness, then why an intelligent person would be interested in some limited temporary happiness? We should always look for now, how can I get this unlimited and permanent happiness, which is coming in Krishna consciousness, because this can be only received by connecting to the Supreme Lord, by trying to find happiness in the Lord. And that is what is the process of Krishna consciousness. So we should all be now engaged in the process of Krishna consciousness instead of trying to find the sense enjoyment in the material things. Okay, let's move on to verse number 25. Labhante brahma nirvanam rishaya kshina kalmashaha छिन्नद्वैधा yatatmanah sarvabhuta hite rataha. Who wants to read? Who hasn't read yet?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, can I read?
Yes, Mataji, please go.
Those who are beyond the dualities that arise from doubts, whose minds are engaged within, who are always busy working for the welfare of all living beings, and who are free from all sense, achieve liberation in the Supreme. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. So very important point is mentioned here, and Srila Prabhupada emphasizes on that point in the purport. So let us read at least the first paragraph of this purport. Who wants to read the first paragraph? Yes. Raghavendra Prabhuji or Mataji, please go ahead.
Purport. Only a person who is fully in Krishna conscious can be said to be engaged in welfare work for all living entities. When a person is actually in the knowledge that Krishna is the fountainhead of everything, then when he acts in that spirit, he acts for everyone. The sufferings of humanity are due to forgetfulness of Krishna as the supreme enjoyer, the supreme proprietor, and the supreme friend. Therefore, to act to revive this consciousness within the entire human society is the highest welfare work. One cannot be engaged in such first-class welfare work without being liberated in the Supreme. A Krishna conscious person has no doubt about the supremacy of Krishna. He has no doubt because he is completely freed from all sins. This is the state of divine love.
Yes, thank you, Mataji. So, Lord is saying that the person who's beyond the dualities that arise from doubts, whose minds are engaged within, who are always busy working for the welfare of all living entities, living beings, and who's free from all the sins, achieve liberation in the Supreme. So, mainly, um, apart from all the things which are mentioned before, that we have to, instead of trying to find happiness outside, we have to find the happiness within the Supreme Lord. Apart from that, one other important factor which is mentioned in this verse, which is that the person should be busy working for the welfare of other living beings. So what is this welfare for all other living beings? And that is what Srila Prabhupada is emphasizing in his purport. So what is the point that he's mentioning? What is the welfare work that he's referring to? What kind of welfare work that we should be engaged in? Yes, Mataji, Vidushi Mataji.
Spreading Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, and how is that welfare work?
Sorry, Prabhuji, I didn't understand.
So I'm saying, how is that a welfare work?
How is that the welfare work? Because the problem noted in the purport is that humanity has forgotten Krishna as the supreme enjoyer, protector, and the friend. So because they've forgotten that, they are undergoing distress and getting stressed. So when you add Krishna and make people Krishna conscious, then once you understand that you're peaceful, you're more peaceful.
Okay, and why we are saying that because we have forgotten Krishna, that is why we are in distress? What is the relationship? Like, why do we have to remember Krishna to become happy? Sudharma Mataji?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. When we think when we forget Krishna, then we think we are the proprietor. So whatever activities we do, we think like we are responsible, and anything if we are if we get different outcome, then we are upset about it. So it is affecting us more rather than thinking Krishna is the proprietor. So once we know Krishna is the proprietor, that means the remembrance is coming that he is the proprietor and he is the full enjoyer, not us. Then the disappointment is not going to be there. So we will be able to accept it easily.
Okay, good. Vidhi Mataji?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So I remember the analogy which we learned that a part should serve the whole. So we are part and parcel of the Lord. So we need to serve the whole, and then only we can get the enjoyment. Like hands, if they want to eat, they themselves without serving the whole body, they can't get the enjoyment.
Yeah, yes. Good that you're connecting that analogy here. But main problem that we have is that we are in this material world. Why are we in this material world? We are in this material world because we have forgotten Krishna. So anyone who has forgotten Krishna is going to be in the material world and going to remain here. And all the problem that we are facing, someone is poor, that's why some rich people are donating to them as a welfare activity. Someone is orphan, uh, so someone is actually starting an orphanage, or someone is sick, so someone is starting some charitable hospital. So all the charitable work or the welfare work is done because we are in this material world. But the best welfare activity is, okay, this is also welfare activity, that someone is starting orphanage and looking after someone, or giving, someone is hungry, someone is giving food, or someone is poor, someone is donating money. All of that is fine. But for how long we can do it? Even if we actually start an orphanage and look after someone for the whole of their life, we still can't look after that person in the next life. Someone may feed someone for one day because someone is hungry, but the next day again the person is going to be hungry. Who's going to feed that? Someone may be poor, and someone may donate some money for some need, but again some need is going to come in the future. Who's going to do that? So even if we do some welfare activity, we can only do it for a limited time. But whereas the highest welfare activity is Krishna consciousness, as mentioned by Srila Prabhupada. Why? It is the highest welfare activity because by doing that activity, we are transporting this person from the material world to the spiritual world. So he's taken from here to the spiritual world. And if he is taken from the material world to the spiritual world, all the problems are solved. He's no longer poor. He's no longer ugly. He's no longer orphan. He's no longer having any material problems. Everyone in the spiritual world is beautiful. Everyone is rich. Everyone has enough because there are desire trees everywhere. Who can be poor when there are desire trees everywhere? You ask for something and you get it. And above all, there is the Supreme Lord there. So Supreme Lord is actually looking after everything. So that way, we will be able to actually solve all the problems of everyone if we are actually taking them from the material world to the spiritual world. And that is why it is important, it is mentioned that the best welfare activity is making someone Krishna conscious. But that doesn't mean we can't give them some food or whatever, that if someone is hungry, if we try to give them the Bhagavad Gita knowledge, it is not going to work. So we have to give them prasadam as well, so we can feed them as well. But at the same time, the best welfare activity is to make them Krishna conscious, and then that way they can go back to Godhead. And then all their problems will be resolved. Okay, let's go to the next verse. Kama krodha vimuktanam yatinam yat chetasam abhito brahma nirvanam vartate viditatmanam. Or did we actually miss one? Where are we?
No, correct, Prabhuji.
Correct,
Correct,
Prabhuji.
we are on the correct verse. Okay. I thought that I just skipped one verse. Okay. Who wants to read the translation? Okay, Mataji, Gunjan Mataji, please go ahead.
Those who are free from anger and all material desires, who are self-realized, self-disciplined, and constantly endeavoring for perfection, are assured of liberation in the Supreme in the very near future. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So Lord Shri Krishna is now just giving some consolation here. So saying that, hey, don't worry, don't think that it is going to take a long time. He's saying that in very near future, we are going to get it. And to explain that, Srila Prabhupada gives a very wonderful analogy in the purport. So let us read from this by vision. There is this verse which is given, Darshanadhyaya samsparshar, samsparshair. So after that, this by vision, by meditation. So that, and the next paragraph we can read. Someone can read? Who wants to? Yes, Vibhor Prabhuji, please go ahead. And Devika Mataji, you can read the translation for the next one.
By vision, by meditation, and by touch, only do the fish, the tortoise, and the birds maintain their offsprings. Similarly, do I also, O Padmaja. The fish brings up its offspring simply by looking at them. The tortoise brings up its offspring simply by meditation. The eggs of the tortoise are laid on land, and the tortoise meditates on the eggs while in the water. Similarly, the devotee in Krishna consciousness, although far away from Lord's abode, can elevate himself to that abode simply by thinking of him constantly, by engaging by engagement in Krishna consciousness.
Yeah,
He does not.
that's it. Thank you. So here, this analogy is very wonderful. So how it is possible to get this very difficult to obtain thing in a very near future? So the analogy is about the tortoise, fish, and bird. So the tortoise brings up the offspring simply by meditation, as it is mentioned. So the tortoise in the water, but the eggs are laid in the land, and so he's meditating on it, and that is how he's bringing up the offspring. And the fish is, by just looking at them, he's bringing them up. He can't do much. Like fish doesn't have the limbs by which it can do something. Then the birds maintain their offspring by touching. So they don't do much, but they are touching it. So these examples are given. So similarly, what the devotee can do. So the devotee in Krishna consciousness, although we are far away from the Lord's abode, from the spiritual abode, we are far away. But we can still elevate ourselves to that abode simply by thinking of the Lord constantly. And how we can do that? By continuously engaging ourselves in Krishna consciousness. So but the tortoise is achieving its goal, fish is achieving its goal, bird is achieving its goal. We can achieve our goal as well just by thinking of the Lord, by always remaining Krishna conscious. And that is how we can make progress. So that is what is mentioned. So now in 27 and 28th verse, the Lord is going to talk about Ashtanga Yoga. Now, why Ashtanga Yoga has been mentioned here in this discussion suddenly? Because people generally identify spirituality with inaction, and that is what Arjuna has been doing earlier, right? As soon as Krishna talks about some sannyas or some tyaga, he's thinking that I have to give up the activity itself, not the result. So people generally connect spirituality with inaction. And generally they think that sitting somewhere in Himalayas and then doing some meditation is the process that we have to follow. So the Lord is saying that Ashtanga Yoga process that people generally think about when they think about meditation is also giving the same result as Nishkam Karma Yoga or Bhakti Yoga that he's going to talk about. So he's actually giving that reference point, and he's saying that whether Jnana Yoga, Nishkam Karma Yoga, or Ashtanga Yoga, we can get the same liberation. But he has already said Jnana Yoga is hard to do. In 6th chapter, he will say that Ashtanga Yoga is also hard to do. So we'll again focus on Nishkam Karma Yoga. And then from 7th chapter onwards, he will start saying, and towards the end of the 6th chapter as well, he'll say that the best process is Bhakti Yoga. So then he will start explaining the Bhakti Yoga process. So let us read 27 and 28. Sparshan krutva bahirbahyas bhruvo pranapano samo krutva nasabhyantaracharino yatendriya mano buddhir munir moksha parayanaha vigatecha bhaya krodho yasada mukta eva saha. Yes, Devika Mataji.
Shutting out all external sense objects, keeping the eyes and vision concentrated between the two eyebrows, suspending the inward and outward breaths within the nostrils, and thus controlling the mind, senses, and intelligence, the transcendentalist aiming at liberation becomes free from desire, fear, and anger. One who is always in this state is certainly liberated.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. So earlier, the Lord has mentioned about controlling or becoming free from desire and anger. So again, here he is saying that how we can also become free from desire, fear, and anger through the process of Ashtanga Yoga. And Ashtanga Yoga, literally, it means Ashta. Ashta means 8, and Anga means limbs. So there are 8 limbs in this process: Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. And we'll talk a little bit more in the 6th chapter because that focuses on these 8 limbs. So Yama Niyama means do's and don'ts. So even before you start doing asanas, we have to do Yama Niyama. And some of those Yama Niyamas we will see in the 6th chapter. But whenever you go to this yoga classes where they are teaching asanas, they don't talk about yama niyama at all. That this is something you should do and this is something you should stop doing. Because without those yama niyama, the ultimate goal of the Ashtanga yoga cannot be achieved. So they directly go to asanas and pranayam. So asanas and pranayam are done so that we can, asanas are done so that we can have healthy life, healthy body, and pranayam is done so that we can have longer life. And then after we do this, so that we have longer life and we have healthy body, the whole purpose of that is to actually do pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. So pratyahara means we withdraw the senses from the sense object, and then we start focusing on the Supreme Lord within. So that is dharana. That is the beginning of the meditation. Dhyana is meditation, and samadhi is the ultimate state of meditation, which is the full absorption. So that is the process, which is the Ashtanga Yoga. But in the name of Ashtanga Yoga, nowadays, only the asanas and pranayam is being taught. It's only point 3 and 4. So if we just focus on 3 and 4, we'll just get some material benefits of health and possibly some longer life. But the ultimate benefit of the Supreme Lord, the trance and the full absorption of Supreme Lord cannot be achieved. Let us cover the last verse as well, and then we'll finish. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram surdham sarvabhutanam nyatva mam shantim richati. Okay. If no one else is raising the hand, then Vidushi Mataji gets the chance. Go ahead, Mataji.
A person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries.
Thank you, Mataji. So how can we get peace? So the peace was mentioned earlier. So if we understand that Bhoktaram Yajnatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Surdam Sarvabhutanam, then the person who knows these three things, Nyatva Mam Shantim Rachati. So such person gets peace. So what is the relationship of knowing that the ultimate beneficiary is the Supreme Lord, or he is the Lord of the planets and demigods, or he's the benefactor and well-wisher of everyone? So it is for the simple reason. All the causes of anxiety and wars, we can see there are generally only three reasons. One, we are asking the question, who's the enjoyer? And we want to hear, I am the enjoyer. I want to enjoy. So I'm the enjoyer. Then sometimes the war happens or the fighting happens because who's the proprietor? And we say, I am the proprietor. And the other person is saying that I am the proprietor. And the third question is, who's the controller? And we are saying, I am the controller. And the other person is also saying, I am the controller. Even the wars between the countries, they are also happening because there are some resources that people want to control. And then one country has that resource, other country wants to control that resource. So that is what is happening. So the resource can be land, resource can be other natural reserves that which are there in that. So many such things are happening. So who's the enjoyer, who's the proprietor, and who's the controller? And everyone is thinking that I am the enjoyer, I am the proprietor, and I am the controller. Even the small problems which happen at the house, they are also happening because of these three reasons only. We are saying I am the enjoyer, someone else is saying I am the enjoyer. We are saying that I am the proprietor, someone else is saying I am the proprietor. We are saying I am the controller, someone else is saying I am the controller. And because of that, the problems in the households are also happening. So as soon as, just like the three doers thing, which were mentioned before, so similarly, these are the three things which actually liberates us from this anxiety. We are not the enjoyer, we are not the proprietor, we are not the controller. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam. Who's the enjoyer? Krishna is the enjoyer. So we are fighting over who's the enjoyer. But if we understand that you are not enjoyer, I am not enjoyer, it is the Supreme Lord, Bhoktaram yajna tapasam. Even if you are doing yajna and austerity towards some other devata, but ultimately, who's the enjoyer? Bhoktaram yajna tapasam. That is the Supreme Lord. He is who's the Bhokta. He is the real enjoyer. So only thing is that if you are doing the yajna tapasa for the devatas, then we are worshipping the Supreme Lord indirectly. So it is recommended that we worship him directly. But even if you are indirectly worshipping, the final bhokta is the Supreme Lord. Then who's the proprietor? Sarvaloka Maheshwaram is mentioned, the second line. So we are fighting over who's the controlling the land, who's controlling the resources. But Krishna is the true owner. He's Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. He's Sarvaloka. Sarvaloka means everything is owned by him. He's the proprietor of everything. And he's Maheshwaram. He's the Ishwara means control. So he's controller of everything. So he's the ultimate controller. He's owning, he's the proprietor of everything, and he's also Bhokta. He's the enjoyer of everything. So someone may think, oh no, so Krishna is the controller, he's the enjoyer, and he's also supremely powerful. Then what will he do to me now? I will be now ruined because such a powerful person and he's the enjoyer. How can I get enjoyment? What is in it for me? That is the third line. Suvrudam Sarvabhutana. Even though Supreme Lord is the enjoyer, he is the controller of everything and he's the proprietor of everything. He is also Suvrudam Sarvabhutana. He is the friend of all living beings. So he's a friend of all living beings means he's the true friend. Now imagine if you have a very good friend who is the richest person, who is the most powerful, and he's a very close friend of you. So if you are in need, what will the person do? He's going to help you all, isn't it? Similarly, the Supreme Lord is Suvrudam Sarvabhutana. So he is a true friend of all of us. So it is not that the true friend is just going to enjoy himself. He is not going to pass on the enjoyment to us. Because he is Suvrudam Sarvabhutanam, by connecting to the Supreme Lord, we will also become happy. And previously, the example was mentioned that the part has to um, serve the whole, and by doing that, we will get happiness. That is what we will get. By serving the Supreme Lord, we will get the happiness as well. And it is mentioned Sarvabhutanam, Suvridam Sarvabhutanam. So it is not that he is thinking about only Indians, but not the Kiwis or not the Americans, not the English, not the Scottish, not the other people, Aussies or whatever. He's Sarvabhutanam. And not only all people, but Sarvabhuta. That means all animals, not only humans, all animals, all plants, birds, beasts, whoever are there, he is Suvridam Sarvabhutanam. He's actually thinking about all of them. So that is why if we understand that we are fighting over who's the enjoyer, who's controller, who's the proprietor, and all the problems in our life are happening because of that, we are losing our peace because of that. But if we understand that none of us are the proprietors, controllers, or enjoyers, it is the Supreme Lord who is the proprietor, controller, and enjoyer. And by serving him, we can get our spiritual happiness, which is unlimited and it is perpetual, that we saw in that verse 21 to 24. So if we look at that, then automatically, and also such a powerful person is Suvrudham. He is our good friend. So if we know that, then we will be peaceful. We don't have to worry about anything. We don't have to be having anxiety to be the enjoyer, proprietor, and controller. And that is how we can become peaceful in our life. So a quick practical application. And then we'll finish. So Lord Krishna is the enjoyer, proprietor, and controller, not you or me. So give up the anxiety to become the enjoyer, proprietor, and controller. So this is what we should do. And the second thing we should understand, such a most powerful personality is our benefactor and well-wisher. So we should trust the Supreme Lord that he will do good for us. All right, I think that is where we finish. And then from next week onwards, we will start the chapter 6. So just to summarize, in this chapter at a very high level, what we have covered is the Lord has recommended that we should do our duty, but we should not remain attached to the fruits of the result. We should be externally, you should be doing the duty, but internally, we should be detached. So this is what is very important. So externally, we should keep doing our duty, but internally, we should get purified and we should become detached internally. And this detachment is possible by understanding these three doers that we talked about, that the soul, the Supreme Lord, and the material nature. So by understanding that there are three doers, then we can become detached from the results of the activity, because we are not the only doer. So why we should claim the credit for everything? And then by knowing that we are not the proprietor, we are not the enjoyer, we are not the controllers, this will make us peaceful. And that is how we can progress further in our spiritual life. So that was the gist of chapter 5. Anyone wants to mention any important points that they liked or they thought that they can implement in their life from chapter 5? Any reflections, comments, questions, or some summary points? Anything? Yes, Gita Jayanti Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanvat Pranam.
Dandot Mataji.
It is very nice that I could attend this wonderful class summarizing the whole chapter 5 of Bhagavad Gita. And the best part I liked about today's talk was your story about the man seeing his house getting burnt. And within a short period of time, he developed so many contrasting emotions.
Yeah.
So that was very nice. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Parminder Prabhuji, you had raised your hand before. Okay, if there is nothing from you, then Kalakali Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, my takeaway is the best welfare activity is giving Krishna consciousness to the living entities so that they can be transported from this material world to the spiritual
Yes.
world.
So every one of us should be actually trying to give Krishna consciousness to others in any small way that we can do. So whatever part of the process that we are following, so if you are reading just Bhagavad Gita, then we should tell others that, hey, Bhagavad Gita is nice, I'm getting benefited. You should also read. If you're chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, you can tell others that you should also chant because it is beneficial. If you are offering the food to Krishna and then eating that prasadam, we should also all tell others that, oh, this is what we should do. So whatever process that we are following, we can actually preach to others, and that way we can do this highest welfare activity. Yes, thank you, Mataji. Very important point.
One more point, Prabhu. Can I
Yes.
give one more?
Yeah, please
The
go ahead.
world's peace formula here is given. As long as we know that Lord Sri Krishna is the real enjoyer, proprietor, and controller, there will be peace in the world. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Raghavendra Prabhuji or Mataji?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandot Pranam.
Yes.
Some of the points which struck with me is our happiness looks outside, but actually the happiness is because we look for happiness outside, that's the reason we are unhappy. And the another reason for our unhappiness is our attachment to the world.
Yes. Yeah, very good point. So what we should do is we should actually start looking for happiness by connecting to the Supreme Lord. We should look for happiness within instead of looking at outside. Yes. Sudharma Mataji?
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare.
The point I took from this session is, Prabhuji, when like something which is very difficult to achieve, liberation in the Supreme, can be achieved in the very near future. Just the three examples, how the examples of tortoise, fish, and bird was given.
Yes.
Just by remembering, thinking of Krishna, and by engaging in Krishna consciousness, we are able to achieve the same thing.
Yes, absolutely. In very near future, Krishna has promised us that we will get it. Nice. Surananda Prabhuji?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I think most of the points are covered. So one point I would like to tell is Nishkama Karma Yoga. Even though all the other yoga processes at the end reaches the same goal, but Nishkama Karma Yoga is easy and best.
Yeah, until now. But then later on, Krishna says, just like Krishna is changing earlier, he mentioned in the second chapter, he talked about Karma Kanda, that we should do Karma Kanda. But then he rejected Karma Kanda and he said that do Nishkam Karma Yoga. Then he has also rejected Jnana Yoga, saying that, oh, it is too difficult. It gives the same result. So those who are able to do it, they can do it, but they can, general population should focus on Nishkam Karma Yoga. Now, the next chapter, which is Dhyana Yoga, where he will explain Ashtanga Yoga. But again, he will reject that process from the perspective that it is very difficult to do. Those who are able to do it, which are very, very rare, 1 in a million can probably do it. Such person can still do that Ashtanga Yoga process. But for the common people, it is not a recommended process. And then towards the end of the 6th chapter onwards, also earlier as well, he has said that Bhakti Yoga process is the best and we should all do that. So till now, he has recommended Nishkam Karma Yoga, but now he is going to switch over to Bhakti Yoga from the next chapter onwards. I think we will stop here. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Bhagavad Gita ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.